You own a drawer full of charging cables you've never used. There's a gym membership you haven't touched in 4 months. And somewhere in your closet, there's a jacket you bought on sale that still has the tags on it. You're not careless. You're not stupid, you're just human, and that makes you the perfect target. Because every single thing you've ever bought that you didn't need wasn't an accident, it was engineered not by you. By people who understand your brain better than you do. Let's talk about why you keep buying things that don't matter. The average American makes about 35,000 purchasing decisions every year. Most of them happen without you even noticing. Your brain can't possibly analyze every choice, so it takes shortcuts. Psychologists call these heuristics. Marketers call them opportunities. Here's what's happening. Your brain has 2 systems. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional. It's the part that makes you grab a candy bar at the checkout counter. System 2 is slow, logical, deliberate. It's the part that reads ingredient labels and compares prices. The problem? System 1 is in control about 95% of the time. You think you're making rational decisions. But most of your purchases are emotional reactions dressed up as logic after the fact. You buy the expensive headphones because they sound better, but really, you bought them because owning them makes you feel like the kind of person who deserves expensive headphones. The justification comes later. This isn't a character flaw, this is biology, and it's worth hundreds of billions of dollars to the people who know how to exploit it. Let's start with the simplest trick in the book, anchoring. You walk into a store, there's a coffee maker for $300, next to it one for $80. The $80 one suddenly feels like a bargain even though you came in planning to spend $50. That $300 model. It doesn't even have to sell, its entire purpose is to make everything else look reasonable. Retailers call this a decoy, you see it everywhere. The luxury handbag that costs $5,000 makes the $1,200 one seem practical. The first-class plane ticket that costs 4 times economy makes premium economy feel like smart spending. The anchor rewires your sense of value, and once it's set, you can't unsee it. But anchoring is just the appetizer. The real manipulation goes deeper. In 1957, a market researcher named James Vickery claimed he'd flash the words "drink Coca-Cola" and eat popcorn on a movie screen for 0.03 of a second. Subliminal messaging. Sales supposedly jumped 18% for Coke, 58% for popcorn. It was a lie. Vickery admitted it years later, but the idea stuck because it felt true. We want to believe we're being controlled because it's easier than admitting we're controlling ourselves. The actual science is more subtle and way more effective. Stores pump the smell of fresh bread or vanilla through their ventilation systems because scent bypasses your logical brain and hits your limbic system directly. It makes you feel warm, safe, hungry. You don't notice it, but you stay longer, you buy more. Casinos remove windows and clocks so you lose track of time. Supermarkets put milk at the back so you walk past hundreds of other products to get it. Spotify playlists in clothing stores are tuned to a specific tempo that slows down your walking pace by 17%. None of this is secret, it's just invisible. Then there's scarcity, real or manufactured. Only 3 left in stock. Sale ends tonight. Limited edition. Your brain interprets scarcity as value. If something is rare, it must be important. If you don't act now, you'll lose your chance. Except there's always another sale. There's always more stock. Limited edition just means limited until the next edition. But the fear of missing out is older than commerce itself. It's a survival mechanism. Our ancestors who grabbed the last piece of food lived longer than the ones who waited. You're not wired to ignore urgency, you're wired to react to it, and companies know this. In 2011, a researcher named Robert Cialdini ran an experiment. He told hotel guests that most people in their room reuse towels. Reuse rates jumped 33%. Not because people suddenly cared more about the environment, because they wanted to conform. We buy what other people buy, we want what other people want. Social proof isn't just marketing, it's how we navigate the world. That's why Amazon shows you how many people bought an item in the last 24 hours. Why Instagram ads say 10,000 people love this. Why restaurants put fake lines outside their doors on opening night. You think you're making an independent choice, but you're just following the crowd, and the crowd is being led. Now let's talk about the thing nobody wants to admit. Buying stuff feels good, not because you need it, because dopamine is a hell of a drug. When you anticipate a reward, your brain releases dopamine, not when you get the reward. When you expect it, that's why scrolling through an online store feels better than actually receiving the package. The hunt is the high, and retailers have optimized for this. The Add to Cart button is designed to feel satisfying. The checkout process is frictionless. One-click purchasing removes the moment where you might reconsider. By the time your System 2 brain catches up, the order's already placed. You're not shopping. You're chasing a neurochemical reaction that evolution designed to make you search for food and now gets triggered by shoe sales. And here's the kicker. The dopamine hit fades fast. The jacket that seemed perfect online feels ordinary the moment it arrives. So you go back, you search for the next thing, the next hit. Retailers call this the hedonic treadmill. Psychologists call it adaptation. You call it treating yourself. It's not a treat, it's a loop. Credit cards make this worse, way worse. When you pay with cash, it hurts, literally. Brain scans show that handing over physical money activates the same neural regions as physical pain. It's a natural brake on spending. Credit cards remove the pain. Swipe, tap, done. There's no emotional cost in the moment. The bill comes later when it's abstract, when it's just numbers on a screen. A study from MIT found that people spend up to 100% more when they use credit cards instead of cash. Not because they have more money, because the transaction doesn't feel real. And buy now, pay later. That's the same trick on steroids. 4 easy payments of $25 doesn't feel like $100, even though it is, even though you're paying interest, even though you're signing up for months of micro-commitments. The purchase is immediate, the consequence is delayed. Your brain weighs the two completely differently. Let's zoom out. The average American household carries about $6,000 in credit card debt. The average person owns 343 individual items of clothing, most of which they haven't worn in over a year. We live in the most materially abundant society in human history, and we're more anxious, more stressed, and more in debt than ever before, because we've been sold a story. That happiness is just one purchase away, that the life you want is the life you buy, and the system is designed to keep you believing that, not through force, through friction removal, through emotional triggers, through making the irrational feel rational. You're not broken, the incentives are just misaligned. Companies profit when you buy, not when you're satisfied. Social media profits when you feel inadequate, not when you feel whole. The entire economy runs on the gap between who you are and who you think you should be. And that gap is maintained by making you want things you don't need. So what do? You could try the 30-day rule. If you want something, wait 30 days. If you still want it, buy it. Most of the time you'll forget. You could unsubscribe from every marketing email. Delete shopping apps, avoid stores unless you need something specific. You could ask yourself the question that cuts through everything. If nobody ever knew I own this, would I still want it? But here's the uncomfortable truth. Knowing how manipulation works doesn't make you immune to it. You can understand every psychological trick, every cognitive bias, every piece of behavioral economics, and still find yourself holding a shopping bag full of things you didn't plan to buy. Because you're not fighting marketing. You're fighting your own brain, and your brain was built to want, to chase, to acquire. The question isn't whether you'll buy things you don't need. You will. The question is whether you'll notice when it's happening, and whether that will be enough.